The first time I saw him, I almost dropped my coffee. Not because he was beautiful though he was, but because he looked straight at me like he knew every secret I'd ever tried to hide. I never believed in destiny or fated mates. Not in the mundane chaos of suburban America. I was an alpha, 22, top of my class in a corporate internship, living life like I had all the control. And then he came along, a timid omega, barely 20, with a shock of messy black hair, and eyes that dared to burn through every wall I'd ever built. His name was Eli, though he seemed more like a glitch in the system than a real person. In the Omegaverse world we lived in, Omegas were expected to follow rules. Submissive, cautious, secondary. But Eli had a spark, a rebellion that radiated through his every gesture. He didn't just step into my world. He waltzed through the boundaries I thought were ironclad. I first noticed him during a corporate charity gala. I was leaning against the bar, pretending not to care, while other alphas flitted around like predatory birds. And then Eli appeared, wearing a dress that hugged his slight frame, hands trembling slightly as he carried a tray of champagne glasses. He caught my gaze steady, unapologetic. "You don't belong here," I muttered under my breath, more curious than angry. He smiled, small but defiant. "Maybe I don't," he said. "But sometimes, rules are meant to be broken." I should have turned away. I should have laughed at him and ignored the pull I felt. But I didn't. I watched him move, the grace in his clumsy steps, the way he didn't flinch at the whispers behind his back. That's when I realized he wasn't afraid of me. Days turned into weeks, and Eli found ways to enter my life at every corner: library sessions where he accidentally sat at my table, gym classes where our paths collided, late-night diner runs where he claimed he was just passing by. Every encounter carried that dangerous intimacy, that sense of closeness that teased the edges of propriety. One night, I found him sitting on the rooftop of my apartment building, legs dangling over the edge like he belonged there more than anyone else in the city. I should have been furious. Omegas were supposed to be careful, invisible, but Eli's defiance was intoxicating. "You know you shouldn't be here," I said, my voice low, almost a growl. He tilted his head, eyes glinting in the moonlight. Maybe I like breaking rules. It was then, standing under the cold light of the city skyline, that the tension snapped. I reached for him, hands trembling not with anger, but with desire. He didn't pull away. Instead, he leaned into me, and for the first time, I felt the truth of what everyone else ignored. I needed him as much as he needed me. Our first kiss was reckless. Sharp, desperate, urgent. The kind that left both of us breathless and trembling. I could feel the difference between us alpha heat and omega warmth, but it didn't scare me. It drew me closer. Every stolen touch, every whispered word, was a rebellion against a world that told us we couldn't be together. Of course, love in the Omegaverse was never simple. My status as an alpha in a prestigious internship meant scrutiny. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some called me weak. Others whispered about his dangerous influence. But I couldn't stop. Every glance, every brush of hands, every private smile in a crowded room bound me tighter to him. Eli had a past I couldn't ignore. Nights when he shivered in my arms, telling me about the family that had abandoned him, the pack that had turned him away. And yet, he was fearless when it came to me. He chose me over the rules, over fear, over logic. Our first night together was quiet, not explosive. We didn't rush. We held each other in the small apartment I'd rented, letting our bodies speak what words couldn't. His scent, faint and intoxicating, was a constant pull. I felt protective in a way I hadn't felt for anyone. And yet, there was an undeniable equality in our closeness. He was not just an omega. He was my partner, my confidant, my rebellion made flesh. I thought I was in control until the night the pack came knocking. They warned me about Eli, about the dangers of breaking the unwritten rules. I should have obeyed, should have let him go. But I didn't. I stood in front of him, defiant, alpha instincts flaring not to dominate, but to protect. The confrontation was brutal. Words like chains, accusations like knives. But in the chaos, Eli held my hand, grounding me. That small gesture, simple and intimate, reminded me why I couldn't let go. Love wasn't about rules. It was about courage, and Eli had shown more courage in his soft, trembling heart than any alpha I knew. Months passed. We navigated the treacherous landscape of pacts, expectations, and societal whispers. Each victory was Smala's shared apartment, a public coffee date, the first time we held hands in the office hallway. Each challenge was sharp, threatening, a reminder of the world that would never truly accept us. And yet, in the quiet moments, in the stolen nights beneath the city lights, there was magic. Eli would trace circles on my chest, murmuring words that made my heart race. I would hold him close, whispering promises I didn't fully believe I could keep. Yet somehow we did. The climax came unexpectedly. A gala, much like the first night we met, but this time the stakes were higher. A rival alpha, sensing my bond with Eli, attempted to humiliate him publicly. The room held its breath as I stepped forward, not to fight with claws or teeth, but with sheer defiance. I proclaimed our bond, our right to be together, and for the first time no one dared to challenge us openly. Eli, standing beside me, held my gaze with unwavering certainty. In his eyes, I saw everything: fear, hope, love, and the quiet defiance that had first drawn me to him. That night, the world seemed to shrink to just the two of us. And in the aftermath, as we walked the quiet streets hand in hand, I realized something profound. He had never been just a side character. In every laugh, every touch, every risk he had taken, he had been the main event, the heart of my story, my rebellion, my home. We had broken rules, defied expectations, and navigated the messy, chaotic, beautiful mess of love. And in that, we found something stronger than destiny. We found each other. The weeks after the rooftop confrontation became a rhythm of clandestine moments and careful navigation. Every glance, every touch, every whispered conversation was a tiny rebellion against a world that didn't want us together. But rebellion had a cost. Eli had his moments of fear, moments when his past threatened to swallow him. One night, curled up against my chest in the apartment we had finally made ours, he whispered, "What if they find me again? What if they don't let me stay?" His voice trembled, and I could feel the fragility beneath the defiance I had come to love. I held him tighter, pressing my forehead to his. "Then we fight. Together. No matter what they say, no one takes you from me." He looked up, eyes glistening, and smiled a soft, shaky smile that made my heart clench. That smile was why I could never let go. That smile was why I would defy the world for him. Life wasn't easy. Work, social obligations, and pack politics constantly tried to wedge themselves between us. I was an alpha with responsibilities. Eli was an omega who had already faced too much rejection. But somehow we made space for us. A shared cup of coffee in the morning, quiet evenings with our favorite music, touches that lasted too long in hallways and kitchens. Every small act was a declaration. We belonged to each other. The danger, however, never fully disappeared. There were nights when I would hear whispers, feel eyes on us. A rival alpha, envious of my bond with Eli, tried subtle sabotage, spreading rumors, testing boundaries, even following us once or twice. Each confrontation was a test of our resolve. Each victory a tiny reclaiming of our space. And through it all, Eli's courage never waned. One evening, after a particularly tense day at work, we found ourselves on the same rooftop where it all began. The city stretched beneath us, lights glittering like distant stars. Eli leaned against me, head resting on my shoulder. "I'm scared," he admitted quietly, and I could feel the shiver in his small frame. "I know," I said, wrapping my arms around him. "But fear doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And it makes me want to protect you even more." He shifted to look up at me, and in his eyes, I saw a storm of emotion: fear, longing, love, and gratitude. I brushed a strand of hair from his face, letting my fingers linger on his cheek. The intimacy between us was no longer stolen. It was ours, claimed and unshakable. Our first anniversary came quietly. No grand gestures, no fanfare. Just us, the apartment, and a meal we cooked together. It was messy, laughter spilling into the kitchen, flour dusting his hair and cheek. I watched him, his eyes sparkling, his grin wide, and realized that he had become the center of my world. Every choice I made, every risk I took was for him. And then came the pack's official recognition. It was unexpected, a formal acknowledgement that we were a legitimate bond, that Eli was mine and mine alone. The ceremony was simple, held under the twilight sky in a secluded park. Our friends, a few trusted alphas and omegas, stood around, silent witnesses to the defiance and love that had defined our relationship. As I held him, Eli whispered, "We did it. We're really doing it." "Yes," I replied, pressing my lips to his temple. "We broke the rules, and yet we're stronger for it." The final test came months later when my career demanded a move to another city. The opportunity was too good to pass up, but leaving meant uprooting Eli. He didn't flinch. Instead, he packed his small belongings, refusing to let distance come between us. The night before the move, we sat together on the rooftop one last time in that city that had witnessed the birth of our love. "I'm not scared anymore," he said, hand in mine, "because I know you're with me. That's enough." I cupped his face, thumb brushing his cheek. It's never been enough for the world to accept us. But for us, it's perfect. The city lights flickered below us, and I realized that all the chaos, the fear, the danger, had been worth it. Because Eli wasn't just a side character. He was my story, my heart, my rebellion, my home. We moved together, navigating the new city as a unit, turning apartments into sanctuaries, streets into playgrounds for laughter and stolen kisses. There were challenges, of course, jealous coworkers, nosy neighbors, occasional whispers from distant packs, but none of it mattered when we were together. Winter came, and with it, quiet nights wrapped in blankets, fingers intertwined, soft kisses exchanged in the glow of lamplight. Spring followed with open windows, the scent of flowers, and long walks in parks where Eli's laughter rang freely, unburdened. Every season was a testament to our resilience, a mark of the love that had defied expectation. One evening, years later, we sat on a hill overlooking the city. Eli leaned against me, eyes reflecting the sunset. "You know," he said softly, "I was scared when I first met you, that I'd never belong anywhere. You do now," I whispered. "With me, you always belonged." He smiled, small and content, and for a moment, the world felt still. No rules, no whispers, no fear, just us. Our hands remained entwined, a silent promise of everything we had fought for, everything we had built together. In that quiet, Eli's head found my shoulder, and I held him close. Our past, full of danger and uncertainty, had led to this moment, a life lived fully, passionately, with no apologies. We had turned rebellion into love, fear into courage, and rules into choices we owned. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of fire and gold, I realized he had never been a side character. He had always been the story's heart, the pulse beneath my chest, the reason I understood what it meant to truly live and love. We laughed softly, whispered secrets only we could share, and watched the city we had claimed for ourselves. No more hiding, no more whispers, just love, messy and beautiful, thriving against all odds. Because Eli dared to break the rules, and I dared to love him, and in that we found eternity. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.